Well, Joe Biden's efforts to calm voters and donors following that disastrous presidential debate performance aren't reassuring anyone. Who would have thought? In a series of staged interviews, the president has continued to stumble and deliver nonsensical answers to what we're told are pre-approved questions.
At 81 years of age, Biden is already the oldest American president ever, leading to moments like, well, this.
Joe, you did such a great job. You answered every question. You knew all the...
If re-elected, Biden could be in office until he's 86. Time to bring in our People's Panel for tonight. Guys, thanks for joining me. I want to go first to you, Vicky. Is it elder abuse to keep Joe Biden on the campaign trail at this age?
I must admit I've given a little bit of thought to this because, I mean, if we look at what the meaning of elder abuse is, it's, intended or non-intended action or lack of action which will somehow bring harm or the risk of harm to someone who is an older person. Okay, we would all agree that certainly Joe Biden is in his early 80s, that as an older man, he is exhibiting some of those symptoms that we associate with some people as they get older. He does seem to have some ability issues. He has some problems with confusion and memory, and sometimes he appears quite frail. That does not always equate, however, to that he has dementia or that he has serious cognitive decline, or that he has lost his ability at decision-making or holding the office of president simply based on age and some of those associated symptoms. One also might say that perhaps his family and his party minders are actually guilty of such abuse because one might argue that they're actually encouraging him to remain in the race for their own benefit.
All right. Yeah, look, you do raise an interesting point, Vicky. Shane, what do you think? I mean, we've seen, particularly the last week, Democrats coming out, no, we've got to keep him in the race. Jill Biden's the ultimate stage mum, pumping him up, pushing him onto the stage. But do you think it's becoming like an act of elder abuse?
I definitely think it's elder abuse, but I also think there's an element of his own arrogance that he won't step down. He's frail, he's barely with it, he requires daily physiotherapy to keep him standing, he keeps falling over, he just isn't well. His interviews are heavily edited. Now, if you were working in a company and you were showing these kind of behavioural traits, HR would be actually managing you out. But end of the day, Iran, China, Russia, Hamas and Hezbollah are all loving it as they see a weak leader. Elder abuse is no different to child abuse. But at the end of the day, is this the legacy his family want for him? Most people will remember him how he is at the end, not how he was 30, 40 years ago. So regardless of your political views, I actually think this is a real sad ending to his career.
I completely agree. It is sad. It's tragic to watch this unfold.
I reckon Shane absolutely nailed every part of this disaster. Well said, Shane.
Yeah,
Good job.
I completely agree. Absolutely. Well, look, amid a big political week, there wasn't much fanfare as Australia's new Governor-General was sworn in at Parliament House, but it's the former lawyer and business leader's proposed salary that has everyone talking.
That's right. Labor proposed a $200,000 pay increase, taking the total salary to just over $700,000 a year. Now, that puts the Governor-General well above the pay rate of our Prime Minister, the UK Prime Minister, and even the US President. Let me go to you on this one, Paul. Do you think $700,000 or so for a Governor-General represents value for money?
Absolutely not. I mean, like, you look at the people in Australia, you've got people who have got both people working, husband and wife, kids are going to school, they can hardly afford a mortgage, they can hardly afford to put food on their table. But you look at the people on the street these days, and Australia is crying out. Our cost of living is through the roof. Who knows how many homeless people she'd walk past on the way to work and not even throw a coin at, and she's getting over $700,000 a year. That money could be better spent on other things, on schools, on education, on teaching people how to love their country again. We don't even love our own country. And yet Labor and Sam Moss and all these people are getting all these jobs for the boys and girls and people who identify as anything they want to, all because they think they deserve it. It's just not right.
It's not right. You're spot on, especially also in the middle of a cost of living crisis. It's a shocking look. Cassandra, do you think that Sam Mostyn should reject this pay rise?
Well, I do. I find it quite ironic given her activism in the past. So normally I'm not one to begrudge a salary for certain accomplishments, but I just think it's not a good look. I think that if she was, what she should do is actually, with the salary increase, perhaps for the first year or two, is offer it to some charities. But it doesn't pass the pub test at all.
No.
In fact, I find the largesse of the increase quite obscene.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely doesn't pass the pub test. Well, look, he was once known as Airbus Albo for all the trips he took overseas, but apparently Anthony Albanese wants to shake it.
He's turned down an invitation to meet with other world leaders for a NATO summit in Washington, D.C. next week and will instead send his deputy. Albanese says he wants to focus on domestic issues. Craig, what do you think? This is a pretty important summit, this NATO meeting. Should Albanese not have been there?
He's damned if he does and he's damned if he does. It's irrelevant. Personally, I don't think he should be turning up to it. But yeah, either way, he's done dusted. Each way, Albo. It's easy.
It's a perfect nickname for him, isn't it? Dana, do you think he should be going to NATO?
Yes, I think it's an important gathering of world leaders, and as our leader, Albo should front up. But instead he's staying home to promote the pathetic stage 3 tax cuts and to avoid further criticism of his international travel in a cost of living crisis. But he has a responsibility to put Australia's national security interests with our allies first. And, it's important that he shows up.
Yeah, I'm with Dana on that one. I think he should be there.
I completely agree.
Hey, People's Panel, thanks so much for joining us tonight. We really appreciate your input as always.